My name is Amara Saint-Vil, and this is the full story, exactly in my voice, with nothing held back. I was born on March 14, in a little pink concrete house in Carrefour, just outside Port-au-Prince, Haiti. The first sounds I remember are roosters at 4 a.m., my grandmother singing hymns while she fried plantains, and my parents screaming at each other until plates shattered against the wall became normal background noise. When I was 5, my mother, Marie-Lou Saint-Vil, decided she was done with poverty and my father's rum bottles. She sold everything we owned that wasn't nailed down, bought 2 one-way tickets, grabbed my tiny hand and told me, "We're going to America, chérie. There, nobody will ever be hungry again." I believed her. I was 5.
These stories are based on real-life incidents. Names, locations, and certain details have been changed to protect privacy. The purpose of this content is for awareness and informational storytelling only. We do not intend to target or defame any individual, group, or organization.
America turned out to be a roach-infested one-bedroom apartment on NE 79th Street in Little Haiti, Miami. The walls were so thin we could hear the neighbors arguing in Creole. My mother worked as a nursing assistant days, cleaned offices nights, and came home smelling like bleach and exhaustion. My father never sent a single dollar. By the time I was 7, Marie had a new man, Claude Bouval, tall, light-skinned, gold chain thick enough to anchor a boat, always smelling like Dracar Noir and Hennessy. On Sundays, he wore 3-piece suits to Notre Dame de Haiti Catholic Church and put a crisp $100 bill in the collection plate so the old ladies would call him Brother Claude, Man of God. At home, he was the devil wearing cologne. The abuse started small. A pinch here, a shove there. Then came the words. Every single day, he found new ways to remind me I was ugly, black like tar, stupid, a mistake, a burden. If it wasn't for me, you'd still be eating dirt in Haiti. I started believing him. I started making myself invisible. I'd hide in the closet when he came home drunk. I'd count to 1,000 in French so I wouldn't hear the things he did to my mother in the next room. Then one night, when I was 11, everything changed forever. Marie was working the 7 p.m. to 7 a.m. shift at Jackson Memorial. Claude came into the room I slept in, sat on the edge of my mattress, and put his heavy hand on my thigh. He leaned in so close I could smell the rum on his breath and whispered, "If you ever tell your maman, I'll kill her while you watch. Then I'll kill you slow." That was the first time he raped me. I left my body that night. I floated up to the ceiling and counted the cracks in the plaster until he finished grunting and left. I was 11 years old. It didn't happen once. It happened dozens of times over the next 14 months. Sometimes in my bed. Sometimes he dragged me into the shower while Marie was at work. Sometimes he locked the garage door and made me kneel on the concrete until my knees bled. I learned to disappear inside my own head. I learned to smile at school the next day like nothing was wrong. I learned to scrub my skin with a Brillo pad in water so hot it blistered, trying to get his smell off me. I learned to hate every mirror because the girl looking back felt poisoned. I told my mother once. I was 12 by then. I waited until Claude left for work. Then I sat her down at the kitchen table and I cried so hard I could barely breathe. "Maman, Claude is touching me. He's hurting me inside. Please make him stop." She looked at me for a long second, then slapped me so hard my ears rang for an hour. "You wicked, jealous little liar," she hissed. "He pays the rent, buys your school uniforms, puts food in your ungrateful mouth. You think any other man wants a woman with a bastard child? Stop making up stories to break my home." That day, the last piece of my childhood died. I stopped calling her Maman. In my head, she became just Marie. The night I got thrown out, I was 12 and a half. Claude had been drinking since noon. He came for me again, but this time something inside me broke open instead of shut down. I fought back with everything I had. I clawed his face until blood ran into his eyes. I bit his forearm so hard my teeth left perfect crescents. I screamed louder than I ever had in my life, loud enough that Mrs. Rodriguez next door finally dialed 911. When the police came, Claude was crying fake tears, shirt torn, saying I was a violent, out-of-control child who attacked him for no reason. Marie stood right beside him, holding his hand, telling the officers I had always been a liar, that I was jealous of their relationship. The officers looked at my ripped nightgown, the fresh bruises blooming on my thighs, the blood running down my legs, and they still chose to believe the adults. The female officer pulled me aside and said, "Sweetheart, sometimes it's easier to just keep peace in the house." 2 hours later, I was on the sidewalk with one black trash bag, 3 outfits, a toothbrush, and $23 in crumpled singles. 12 years old and homeless in Miami. The first week, I slept wherever I could. Abandoned cars with broken windows, the beach when the weather was good, behind the Checkers on 79th Street, 24-hour laundromats because the dryers stayed warm. I learned which restaurants threw food out at exactly 10:47 p.m. I learned that ketchup packets plus hot water from the gas station bathroom equals soup when your stomach hurts so bad you can't stand up straight. I learned that men in nice cars will slow down and offer money for things no child should ever be asked to do. Some nights I almost said yes because hunger is louder than shame. There were nights I sat on the sand at Hallover staring at the black ocean and thought how easy it would be to just walk in until the water closed over my head. But every single time I got close, Claude's voice would echo in my head, "You're nothing. You'll always be nothing." And something fierce and ugly would rise up in my chest and answer, "Watch me." That became my heartbeat. Watch me survive tonight. Watch me find food tomorrow. Watch me become everything you said I never could. God sent me Miss Denise Johnson. She was a Department of Children and Families investigator who found me asleep on the steps of Mount Zion Baptist Church one Tuesday morning. She took one look at my trash bag, my bruised arms, my hollow eyes, and said, "Little girl, you are coming with me right now." She fought the system tooth and nail for 4 months to get me placed in a therapeutic group home called New Horizons House. She sat with me while I screamed through nightmares, held my hair when the flashbacks made me throw up, brought me new underwear when mine were literally falling apart. One day, she looked me dead in my eyes and said, "Amara, what happened to you is a fact. Who you become from this moment forward is a choice that belongs to you and you alone." I wrote those words on the inside of my left forearm with permanent marker and re-inked them every week for the next 7 years. High school was war in a different uniform. I wore the same 3 outfits until the elbows wore through. I showered in the gym locker room at 6 a.m. before anyone else got there. I studied in the public library until they locked the doors at 9 p.m. Teachers called me driven. They had no idea I was running for my life. I graduated valedictorian with a 4.6 weighted GPA, president of the debate team, National Honor Society, and a full-ride academic scholarship to Bethune-Cookman University in Daytona Beach. When they handed me that diploma, I looked straight up at the sky and whispered, "We didn't die, baby girl. We actually made it." College was the first time I had a bed that was truly mine and a door I could lock. But trauma doesn't care about palm trees. Freshman year, I still couldn't let anyone touch me, not even a friendly hug. Showers were torture because running water brought everything back. I worked 3 campus jobs, sent money back to New Horizons for the younger girls, and kept a 3.92 GPA in political science because I wanted to understand power. Who has it, who takes it, and exactly how I was going to take mine back forever. Senior year, I interned at the Florida State Capitol and watched rich men in suits trade children's futures for campaign contributions. That's when I knew a bachelor's degree was only the base camp.
I applied to 11 graduate programs and got into every single one. Florida A&M gave me a full ride plus a living stipend for the Master's in Public Administration. At 21 years old, I had 2 degrees, a 4.0 graduate GPA, and still slept with every light in the apartment on because darkness brought Claude's hands back. I worked full-time night audit at the Tallahassee Marriott so I could keep sending money to the group home. I took the LSAT on 3 hours of sleep and scored 169. Top 14 law schools started calling. I chose Indiana University, Robert H. McKinney School of Law in Indianapolis because they offered the largest scholarship. And because Indiana was 1,200 miles away from every ghost that wanted to drag me backward. 1L year almost ended me. Sitting in criminal law while the professor discussed child rape statutes triggered flashbacks so violent I had to excuse myself to vomit in the restroom 3 times a week. I gained 45 pounds stress-eating vending machine honey buns. I almost dropped out in November. One night, I called Miss Denise at 3 a.m., sobbing so hard I couldn't breathe. She said, "Amara, you are not sitting in that classroom for your comfort. You are there for every little black and brown girl still bleeding on a bathroom floor somewhere. Now wipe your face, drink some water, and get your ass back in that seat tomorrow." So I did. Second and third year, I came alive. President of BLSA, moot court board, judicial extern for a federal magistrate, published on Law Review, summer associate at a big firm. I graduated in the top 10% of my class with my Juris Doctor, honors, and a federal clerkship lined up. When they called my name at commencement, I didn't walk across that stage. I floated. Because the little girl with the trash bag had just become a lawyer. But Claude's voice still whispered sometimes, "You'll never be real power." So I kept climbing. I applied to the Master of Laws, LL.M, in National Security and U.S. Foreign Relations Law at the George Washington University Law School in Washington, D.C., one of the hardest programs on earth. I got in with another full scholarship. I moved to D.C., and suddenly I was in seminars with Army colonels, CIA officers, diplomats twice my age. They talked about terrorism recruitment pipelines and human trafficking corridors. I raised my hand and talked about how predators don't always cross international borders. Sometimes they just cross the hallway wearing church shoes. Today, I work in rooms the public will never know exist. I draft policy that protects children on 4 continents. I brief senators' staff. I have TS SCI clearance. I wear suits that cost more than Claude made in 6 months. My passport is thick with stamps from countries he couldn't pronounce. And every single time I help dismantle a trafficking network, strengthen an extradition treaty, or train law enforcement officers to actually believe child victims when they speak, I whisper to the 12-year-old sleeping behind the laundromat, "This one was for us, T-Sherry." I am writing my memoir right now. Every graphic, painful, ugly detail. Because my silence protected Claude, not me. When that book drops, I want every survivor on the planet to read it and hear one sentence louder than all the others.
the worst thing that ever happened to you is only chapter 1. So if you are watching this, and you are still in the darkness, if you are hiding bruises, sleeping in your car, or thinking tonight might be the night you don't wake up, please listen to the woman who used to be you. You are not dirty. You are not broken beyond repair. You are not defined by what they did. You are the storm they never saw coming. You are living, breathing, walking revenge. Get up tomorrow. Take one shower like it's an act of war. Fill out one application. Make one phone call. Say one no out loud. That is how mountains move. That is how I moved mine. From a trash bag on 79th Street to the highest levels of American national security. If I can do it, so can you. When I died, don't list my degrees on the tombstone. Carve this instead. She turned her pain into a lighthouse, and millions found their way home because she refused to let the darkness win. To every survivor watching right now, I see you. I believe you. I love you. And I am so proud of you for still breathing. My name is Amara Saint-Vil. I was supposed to be a statistic. Instead, I became their worst nightmare. And if I survived, beautiful, so will you.